Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video in the Spigot series. In this video I'll be showing you how to make a Spawn plugin. Alright guys, so this was a suggestion by Yuval. He wanted to see me make a Spawn plugin, so that's what I'm going to be doing this episode. If you have any suggestions for things that you want to see, then leave a suggestion in our Discord suggestions channel and I may do it, okay? Thank you for the suggestion. It's a very cool idea, and this was something that will help us practice our skills. So yeah, a Spawn plugin. Let me go ahead and give you an example of how a Spawn plugin will work. So a Spawn plugin allows you to do SetSpawn, and it's going to save the spawn location somewhere. And so it says spawn location set, and then now every time we run /spawn, it's going to take us back to that location wherever we set the spawn to. So then it says you have been teleported to the spawn point. Very simple. And otherwise, whenever I die, it's going to take us back to that spawn point as well. Whenever I join the server for the first time, it's also going to take us back to that spawn point if it's set and all that stuff. Okay, so very simple. You're probably familiar with this if you've done any stuff with plugins before. This is something provided by Essentials and other plugins, but Essentials is the very popular one that everyone uses that has such spawn capability. So yeah, we're going to do that this episode. The way we're going to do it is we're going to have the SetSpawn command to set the spawn location, and the way we're going to store the spawn location is in our config.yml. It's actually really simple, you'll see. And then whenever we run /spawn, that's going to be another one of our commands. We're going to check to see if the spawn location has been set in the config.yml, and if it has not been set, then we'll send them a message, okay? And then otherwise, like I said, we're going to have two listeners, one for when they respawn. We'll spawn them at that point if it's set. Otherwise, if they join the server for the first time, we'll spawn them at that location if it's set as well, because that's pretty much how spawn plugins usually work, okay? Of course, like I do every episode, the code for this episode will be in the description below, so make sure to check it out. First things first, like I said before, we're going to be using our config.yml to allow us to store the location of the spawn point. So we're just going to have our basic, setup for our config.yml stuff here, the methods that we always call when we're trying to use config.yml. So we're going to do git config.options.copy defaults, and then after that we'll do save default config. This is the piece of code I always have whenever I'm using a config.yml, so that's what I'm going to have there to allow us to use it. And then we're also going to make the file, so config.yml. There we go. And that's pretty much it for that. Now let's get some packages here so we can have some structure. So package listeners, and then package commands. There we go. So let's go ahead and start off with the SetSpawn command, because that will allow us to actually do everything else once we finish it. So SetSpawn command. That's going to implements command executor. Boom. And to do the autocomplete when it was read, I just did Alt-Enter on Windows. Otherwise, you can just hover over it and then click implement on implemented methods. All right. So return true like we always do. And then we want to check to see if the person who's running it is a player like we always do as well. So if sender instance of player, and if you're on Java 16, you can do player like that to automatically cast it. If you're not on Java 16 or above, you can do just the regular old casting yourself manually. So player sender, so you're casting sender into player. So once we know that the player is running the command, not the console, we're going to get the location, right? So location is equal to player.getLocation, because the location that we're setting for the spawn point is going to be where they ran the command. And now here we can actually do the setting of the spawn point in the config.yml. But to get access to the config.yml, we of course need access to the instance of the plugin. And I have a video on how to do that, how to pass in an instance of your plugin to other classes. So check that out if you haven't seen it. I think it's episode 7.5 at the moment. But we're going to do it by passing it into the constructor when we instantiate the SetSpawn command class. So private final spawn plugin, which is the class of our plugin, and then plugin is the name of the variable that will make it. And then we're going to make a new constructor. So add a constructor parameter. That's automatically going to make a new constructor for your class, and then have it so that the parameter is going to be the plugin itself, and then it's going to set it right there. Okay, easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then now when we go back to spawn plugin, we need to register the command here, right? So that's where we're going to instantiate SetSpawn command class. So we're going to do git command. SetSpawn is what we'll call the command. Set executor, new SetSpawn command. And as you can see, now if we do Control P to the constructor, we need to pass in spawn plugin. And so since we're inside of the spawn plugin class, we can just do this. There we go. So that's going to pass it in. Then it's going to set the field right here. So now we can use the plugin field inside of our command. So we can do plugin dot get config, and then now we can access the config. We can do stuff with it, save, obtain, whatever you want to do. So what we're going to do is save the values of the location to the config, and there's two different ways we could do it. Okay, so option 1, save each value of the location, aka the X, Y, Z, world name, etc. Or you can actually save the location object directly if you want to. And I'll explain why you can do that in a second. Directly, how do you spell that? Directly. Ah, there we go. Hope you're proud of me. So the way we can do this is we can just do plugin.getConfig and then to set a value you can use set. And so first we need to pass in the path of where we want to set it. So if we want to set it to spawn.x and then have the value be location.getx. Getx is a double, but you can do block x for a integer if you want that. But yeah, getx. Then I'm going to show you how that will appear in the config.yml in a second. So let's do the other ones real quick. So plugin.getconfig.set spawn.y location.getY, and then plugin.getconfig.set spawn.z location. Sorry, I can't type today. .getz. There we go. So if we do this, this will appear in the config.yml like this. So it'll be spawn x, and then whatever the value is, we'll just say 69, y 69, and then z 69. That is how that looks. So when you do spawn.x, this is referring to spawn and then x. These are called keys. And yeah, that's how that works. That's how a path works whenever you're referring to it as a string, okay? And then also we want to store the world name. So plugin.getconfig.set spawn.worldName location.getWorld.toGetName. There we go, get name. And the reason we want to set the world name is because when we're creating a new location object, we have to pass in a couple values, the world name or the world itself, the XYZ, and then that's optional, or the yaw and the pitch. But yeah, so the world, we can, let's say we have a world name as a string, so we'll do string world name, potato. To get an actual world from that, we can then do world, found world is equal to bucket.getWorld, and you can pass in the world name if you want to, so this will be world name. And then you can do found world, and then the XYZ, whatever you grab from the config. All right, so that's why we're setting the world name, just because to create a location, you have to have a world as well, not just XYZ. And that's fine and dandy. This is definitely a way that you can set a location within your config.yml or a different config. And this just means that every time you want to obtain that location from the config.yml, you have to get each of these values and then create a new location object out of it, and then you can use it however you want to. Otherwise, there's actually an easier way that I actually didn't know about for a while, but the location object is actually a special object. We already have it actually up here. So we have it here. The location object is actually a special object because if we do control and then click, you can see that it implements configuration serializable. This is a special interface that makes a bucket object able to be serialized automatically or saved automatically into your config.yml. It'll automatically translate your location into these values here and save it into your config.yml. You don't have to do it one by one yourself, which is very, very powerful. So let me show you. So if you want to save your location object into your config.yml, you can do plugin.getconfig.set, and let's just say we want to save it as spawn, and then we can just pass in location. It's literally that easy, all because location implements configuration serializable. It's one of the rare objects that actually implement that. There are a few others, but that's the most useful one because locations are very, very useful. I forgot what the other ones are, but they're, like I said, not too useful as far as I remember. Okay, and so that means that we can comment this out or just delete it because we don't need it anymore. We can just save it directly into our config.yml, which is really cool. So don't get confused though and think that you can, for example, save a player directly into a config.yml and it will automatically map all the player information like the UID and all that stuff. It's only a location that you can do that, and whatever other object implements configuration, so serializable, okay? And so what this will do behind the scenes is it actually will do the same thing we did here. It'll set the XYZ into the spawn path here because that's the path that we specified We did it as spawn, so it's automatically going to set the XYZ and also the world name and all that. You'll see that in a second. So it's really, really cool and really powerful. Helps you a lot. So that'll set it, but we actually need to save it. So we'll do plugin.saveConfig, and that should save the config changes that you've made. And then after that, we'll just send the player a message telling them that the spawn location has been set. So spawn location set. Awesome. Another thing we've got to do is just to tell it if they're not a player, just say, bruh, get your ass on the server. There we go. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and test this out to see if it actually works, if it actually saves our location to the config.yml whenever we run this command, okay? Oh yeah, so I started the server up and I got an error. That's just because we forgot to register it in the config.yml, or the plugin.yml, excuse me. So set spawn description, set the server spawn point. There we go. So let's go ahead and re-add it to the server. All right, I'm on the server. Let's go ahead and test it out. But let me show you first that the config.yml is actually empty currently. So we have generated a spawn plugin folder. So open that up. We got a config.yml and it's empty because we have, what the fuck? Oh yeah, so the reason we have these here already is just because we set it. I put this example stuff here in the config.yml to show you how it would look. So I forgot to remove that. But it should be harmless anyway. It shouldn't really matter because it should be overridden. So let's just try running SetSpawn. SetSpawn. It says spawn location set. No exceptions, great. So this means that it probably worked. So let's go back to the config.yml, reload, and there we go. So Bucket automatically took that location object, set it on the spawn path, and set world, so the world name. So it set the X, the Y, the Z, the pitch, and the yaw. And awesome, it set everything automatically, which is really cool. And it even tells you what type of object it is because when it tries to serialize it back into a location object, it's going to need that information. The reason you may not want to use this and maybe you want to set it yourself one by one is just because you may not want to use the double. You may want to use it as set it as an integer rather than a double, just so it's centered in the block. Otherwise, you don't want the pitch or the yaw or just whatever information you may want to add or customize. So it's up to you if you want to use it, but that's why I showed you both ways, just in case you do want to do the other way, okay? It should work without any issue. But now that we know that the location is able to be set within the config.yml, let's make the spawn command so we can try grabbing it from the config.yml and spawning them at that location. Now we want to access the config to see if the location has been set or not, okay? Because by default, of course, when we first start up the plugin, it's not set, or maybe if you remove it, it's not going to be set, all right? So the way we can do that, there's actually a couple of different ways you can do it, but there is a method. So first we need an instance of the plugin within here. First of all, we need to do that here as well. So let's go ahead and finish that part. So plugin final, spawn plugin, and then we'll generate the constructor. Boom, there we go. So now we'll do plugin.getConfig, and there's a bunch of methods you can use, but specifically there's one called getLocation for getting a location and returning a location object automatically. And the way that this works is if you do Control Q, it'll tell you the documentation. It'll say if the location does not exist but a default value has been specified, this will return the default value. If the location does not exist and no default value is specified, this will return null. Okay, so what that really means is that if there is no location at the path that we specified when we run the method, it'll return null, essentially, okay? So with that knowledge, we can actually just set this. We can do location is equal to plugin.getConfig.getLocation, pass in the path. In this case, it'll be spawn because that's where we saved it at. And then if the location exists at the spawn path, it'll give it and set it into this location object. Otherwise, it'll set the location object to the value of null. Okay, so we'll see if location is not equal to null, this means that there is a location set. So we can do player.teleport location because we obtained it. And then we'll say player.sendMessage. You have been teleported to the spawn point. Otherwise, if the location is null, this means that a location has not been set. So we can say, bruh, get yo, there is no spawn point set, use SetSpawn to set it. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Essentially, we're just accessing the config.yml. If there is a location object at that spawn path, or whatever path you specify, then we're going to run this code here. Otherwise, if it is null, meaning that there is no location, then we're going to run this code here. All right. Oh, we're not going to do that. We're going to send them a message, not output it like that. So player.sendMessage, send message, boom, there we go. And as you can see, this is actually pretty powerful. Now we know how to automatically save a location into the config.yml, but also we can see that there's an easy way to grab it. We don't have to grab each of those XYZ, pitch, yaw, world name values one by one and make a new location object ourselves. There's a method automatically that can do that for you, which is very helpful. So let's go back to our spawn plugin class here and register it. So git command spawn, git command spawn dot set executor new spawn command. And now let's pass in this because it needs that for the constructor to obtain the config.yml. And then in the plugin.yml, let's not forget to register it this time. So spawn description spawns you at the spawn point. There we go. Cool. All right, let's test it out on the server. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete the config.yml so we can just start from fresh. Boom. There we go. Let's go ahead and reload the server. So that's all that's reset. And boom. So now let's do /spawn, and hopefully it'll say you have not set a spawn point because we just reset the config.yml. There we go. So it says there is no spawn point set. Use SetSpawn to set it. So we'll do that. Let's do it on top of the tree so that we know it's set where we set it. So SetSpawn, spawn location set, perfect, and then /spawn. Awesome. It teleports us. Perfect. All right, cool. So that's awesome. So now we're able to set it in the config.yml and then also grab it from the config.yml. Now let's set up the last thing, which are the two listeners, the event listeners, so that if I respawn, it's going to respawn us at that point. And also if I join the server for the first time, it's going to spawn us at that point, just like normal servers do. So we're going to make a new listener called spawn listeners. You can call it whatever you want though, spawn listeners. So event handler, public, let me close this for space. Public void on player join event, E. And so we'll check to see if that player is joined for the first time. So we'll say if e.getPlayer.has played before, and we'll negate this. So if they have not played before, then we're going to run the code inside of this. So we'll say, well, first we need to see if the location is set right within the config.yml, just as we did here. So in our spawn command. So we can actually just copy this and use it here. So location is equal to plugin.getConfig.getLocation spawn. If it's not null, that means that it's set, so we can spawn them at that location. And then otherwise we can just do nothing, right? Those spawn wherever they spawn naturally. Also, let's go ahead and get the player instance. So player is equal to e.getPlayer. There we go. Awesome. So we'll change this to player. And then finally, we need an instance of the plugin within this class as well. So we'll do the same exact thing. So private final spawn plugin, and then make a constructor. Boom, awesome. And so when they join, it'll teleport them if the spawn point is set, and we don't need to output any message. So that's not for this. Awesome. There we go. And then we'll do event handler, public void on player death, or how about on player respawn? Because we're going to use the respawn event, not the death event. Because the respawn event allows you to set where the player respawns, the location. So we'll do player respawn event E. So we'll say when a player dies, respawn them at the spawn location if it's set. All right. So same thing pretty much. So location is equal to plugin.getConfig.getLocation spawn if location is not equal to null, meaning it exists. Then we'll do e.setSpawn location and pass in location. So it's very, very simple. So hopefully when we respawn now, it's going to spawn us at that location that we set, okay? So hopefully this is all very self-explanatory. We're pretty much doing the exact same thing we did in the spawn command, except that we're changing it to fit the needs of the event handlers, okay? So let's go ahead and register this now. So get server.getPluginManager.register events new spawn listeners, and then this. Awesome. Oh yeah, we need to pass in this here as well. All right, so I'm going to throw this on the server, and I'll see you in a second. I'm going to reset the spawn plugin config.yml again. All right, cool. So now that we're on the server, everything's fresh. We're going to do spawn just to make sure it's not set. There we go. So we'll do SetSpawn. Now it says spawn location set. We'll do it on top of a tree again. Okay, cool. So now let's kill ourselves to see if it spawns us at that location when we respawn. Awesome. And respawn, and boom! See, we spawn at the set location, which is perfect. Cool. And there you go. That's how you can make a very simple Spawn plugin. Hopefully this was exactly what you wanted, Yuval. Thank you for the suggestion. And again, if anyone else has any ideas, let me know. But hopefully this plugin was good practice for you guys. If it was, then hit that like button. And if it wasn't, then hit that like button anyway, just because you love me. Hopefully. And anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for another episode very soon. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. In the description below, I'll leave a link to the code for this episode so you can check it out. You can bookmark it, come back to it later. If you forget any concepts or you just want to review the concepts I taught in this video, I'll mark everything up with comments so you can come back and read the code without having to rewatch the video, although your reviews are greatly appreciated. So yeah, I'll leave a link for that in the description below, so make sure to check it out. And another thing is I'll leave a link to our Discord server. It's a big community for programmers, so you can ask for help on your programming projects if you're stuck on something, or maybe you can get some new friends. If you don't have any friends, there's lots of people here. It's growing really fast. You can find lots of people who are passionate about the same things as you. For example, if you like Minecraft Spigot development, you can find lots of people who like that. If you like C++, if you like Java, if you like web development, it's a really, really big programming community. So feel free to join. There's a link for that in the description below. And the last thing I want to tell you is that if you want to support this channel, you can click the join button below this video and you can join this channel as a member for as low as 99 cents a month, and you can cancel at any time. You get some cool perks like early access to all of my new videos, a cool rank on my Discord server like you see right here on the side, YouTube members, and also you get to see yourself on the screen like you see right now. So if that sounds cool to you, feel free to join. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you can't, that's okay too. I really just appreciate you watching the video anyway. And thank you. Thanks a lot. And that's it. So if you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And peace.